Hey guys, it's Melissa here from melissaopen.com. Welcome to another episode of Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness, the weekly podcast devoted to all things spirituality and self-improvement. I'm so delighted you're here with us today because we have a very special guest with us. We have with us today Miss Amber Romaniuk. She is an emotional eating, digestive, and hormone expert, and she also hosts the podcast, the No Sugarcoating podcast. She's here today to talk to us all about how we sometimes self-sabotage when we're trying to lose weight and why it sometimes is resistant, and how our hormones play a big factor in that as well. And I know that some of you out there are dealing with this right now. So I cannot wait to dive in today and learn more about it. I want to thank you so much for being here with us today, Amber.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here with you and have this conversation.
I know this is such a necessary conversation, and I think
Yeah.
one that's going to resonate with so many people. But before we dive in, I would love just to know a little bit about you. How did you get started working with people on breaking through one of the toughest things, losing weight?
Yeah. So I went through my own journey with binge eating, food addiction, bulimia, and emotional eating. I struggled with my weight for like 20 years. I lost and gained over 1,000 pounds in 5 years. And that was really a battle between diets and restriction, trying to lose weight and chase the number on the scale to finally feel good enough and feel worthy, and then completely losing control because my binge and emotional eating triggers would kick up and I didn't know how to cope. I was afraid to feel my emotions. I felt very unworthy. And I didn't have any healthy coping strategies. And so food was my friend. It was my number. It gave me pleasure and I loved and hated it. But this whole self-sabotaging cycle of self-sabotage with food and then trying to diet and restrict and lose the weight to try and gain control and tying my worth up with my weight for a very long time really had a negative impact on every aspect of me, my mental health, emotional health, my frequency, my physical state of being. And it really was quite the journey to go through that whole experience to the point where I was eating out of my garbage can and throwing the food in the back alley in the dumpster and going out and digging through and finding it. Like that's how addicted I was to food. It was very deep and a big struggle that I never imagined I would go through in my early 20s before it came along. But often our biggest struggles usually can become our biggest breakthroughs and miracles. And that's really what inspired me to want to help other women, because what I started to realize as I healed is there's not a lot of women out there that have been through this that can understand it to such a deep level and know how to hold a safe space and have empathy and compassion and be able to hear somebody and, hold that space. And so that's really what inspired me to start my business 12 years ago and start helping women with this. And obviously understanding the roots of what is really at the root of weight gain and how do you really lose weight in a mindful way. And, learning that weight is a protective mechanism truly changed my life, because I always was like, oh, you just eat less and exercise more. And then that stopped working. And when you have hormone issues and you feel unworthy and you're a people pleaser and you're overbooked and overwhelmed and you're trying to just pile on more exercise and eat less, and then you're gaining more weight, it's just so confusing. And then you blame your body and you get harder on yourself. And that's just so stressful. And so when I started to understand that weight gain was a protective mechanism and my body didn't feel safe, it was very empowering, because instead of focusing on weight loss or trying to pressure weight loss, which just fuels weight gain, I was more focused on getting curious of like, why is my body hanging on to protection? Why doesn't she feel safe? Oh, because I'm binge eating. I am purging. I am restricting. I am in negative self-talk and self-hatred. My hormones are a mess. I'm inflamed. My gut is a mess. Like, why would my body feel safe enough to let go of protection when I'm literally fighting against her? And so healing and making peace with food and making peace with my body and learning how to love myself, which was a whole journey, helped me get to the point where I really realized how much it's important to feel safe living in your body and to work with your body and to be a team. And, a really significant kind of moment was when I had stopped binge eating and then I gained 80 pounds. So I wasn't emotionally eating anymore. I was eating balanced, sleeping, hydrating, taking vitamins, going to the gym, and I gained 80 pounds. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, this is ridiculous. What happened? I don't get it. It was honestly like I was speechless. I just did not understand. And that needed to happen because what it taught me was that whole protection mechanism. And then I realized, wow, my hormones are a mess. going to the gym 5 days a week in the morning on an empty stomach is not helping me lose weight. And I had to clear the limiting belief of I need to exercise to lose weight or to keep it off. And there was a fear around pausing that for a while to truly rest to heal my body. But I had to crush that limiting belief. And I chose to stop the gym for a while and focus on rest and napping and sleeping and mindful walking and yoga and like very gentle things that my body wanted at the time. My hormones started to shift really quickly. The weight started to come off without me focusing on it. And I released the weight to my natural set point without focusing on it and instead focusing on healing and safety and like regulating my nervous system. And that was so mind blowing that I'm like, I never have to diet or exercise again to lose weight. I can do movement that I love, but I don't have to like punish myself. This is amazing. And so that's really the kinds of things that I implement into my work, because I will tell you, if you have a hormone imbalance, you're in perimenopause or menopause, or your cortisol's high, you have a thyroid issue, you can eat as perfectly, as clean, as restrictive, you can exercise as much as you want. The scale may not move or it may go up because those things become massive stressors if you don't deal with the roots.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I know I've experienced that myself where, I thought, okay, I'm eating right, I'm trying to work out, I'm doing all the things, but it's still like nothing was working. And I think for me, the high cortisol and the stress and those things were a big issue
Yeah.
that had to be addressed.
Yeah. 100%. We're not educated about our hormones properly, and that how easy it is to throw them off, especially if you're in behaviors of restrictive eating, over exercise, emotional eating, binge purge cycles, let alone even if you're not doing those things and you're a people pleaser and you're last on your list, or you have a wounded inner child or traumas that have not been processed, or you're like rebelling and staying up until 2 a.m. every night, binge watching Netflix. Like there can be an accumulation of what seem like innocent habits that can mess with your hormones so easily, and then your body doesn't feel safe. And what's the first thing she does? Your brain tells your adrenal glands, which produce your cortisol, there's a threat. Your body thinks there's a bear that's never there. And then your brain's like, shuttle all the cortisol through the body and like, especially to the abdomen to protect, to put on weight and protect her in case the bear attacks her in the abdomen. That's literally the primal instinct of the body, but we get upset when we gain the weight. We get upset when the abdomen gets bigger, and then we assume we should exercise more and cut back on what we're eating, and that just fuels more of the vicious cycle. So yeah, we need to normalize talking about cortisol and the stress hormones and how that all impacts everything so much.
So how would you address someone who maybe is sitting out there today and is thinking, okay, well, you just said you've talked about every single problem that I have. I've got all of these things going on. What's the first step that they could take in trying to move in the right direction?
Yeah, so I think there's two answers to that question. I think the first step is find someone to work with that will order all the hormone tests and do a thorough hormone and blood work workup. Going to your doctor, I mean, 1 out of 10 doctors will maybe order some of the tests, but I unfortunately find most of them will look and be like, you don't need that. You're too young. You look fine. Whatever the reasons, stories, and excuses are, they really don't like to order the testing. So find someone who will advocate and order everything for you and also review it thoroughly with you, and understand also that the ranges on the tests are too big. And there's much smaller functional ranges that are actually normal. And that's another problem I see with women. They'll get some testing done and the doctor will just be like, yeah, it's all fine. It's normal. It's just in your head. It's not that. But you deep down intuitively know there's something going on. And that's why getting that second opinion or working with someone who's going to spend more time with you is incredibly important. I spend a minimum of an hour reviewing hormone results with my clients. Sometimes we have to have 2 sessions because I really want them to understand what's going on, why we're going to do what we are, and how it's correlated to their symptoms, their weight, etc. And then I think while you're like in the lieu of booking that appointment or getting that information, if you already have tests, again, connect with someone to get a second opinion if you're feeling like you didn't get answers. But the second thing in the interim is awareness building. So it's kind of starting this mental checklist, or you can write these things down and go like, okay, well, what I can start working on myself is making sure I'm drinking 2 liters of water a day, 68 ounces. What time am I getting to bed? Because optimal hormone balance time is happening between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. So ideally, most nights we want to get to sleep before 11, right? And then if you want to journal a little bit about your sleep, do you have trouble falling or staying asleep? Either of those, signs of a hormone issue. Are you taking any time for yourself? Because if you're not, and it's a 0 out of 10, and you feel guilty or terrified to take time for yourself, it's like baby step toward 5 to 10 minutes a few days a week. These are things you start working on now because they're going to be vital for you to be more into once you get those results back and you're told you have high cortisol, you have a thyroid issue, your body's significantly stressed. You can't supplement or medicate your way out of a hormone imbalance. It is one support of the whole piece of the puzzle, but it's actually the habits and behaviors and the relationship we have with ourselves that we need to usually work on shifting the most because it's stressing our system out. So, are you eating regularly through the day? Try to not skip meals because that just stresses everything out. So, it's like, are you meeting your basic needs essentially, first and foremost? And then from there, it really depends on the person and what's going on for you, to further those steps.
And I really want to point out that what you brought up, I think, is so important that there's so many times that women, especially in the medical field, we get dismissed and told that, it's in your head and,
Hmm.
there's nothing wrong with you. And I had the same issue and I ended up going to a different doctor because I did not like the answer that I got.
Yeah.
And I found a doctor who said, "Oh no, yes, you are getting older, but you don't have to suffer when you get older. And there are things we can do to help you and to make this process a little bit easier." So I think that maybe out there for the women who are listening and are saying, "Well, I've been told there's nothing to do." I think some people are just scared to try to reach out and to find something new.
Yeah.
Someone like you who works with them and coaches them is a little different than just going to a physician because you're going to support them more and sit with them and explain everything that's going on. Can
Yeah.
they do you so do they have to go through a physician to order the tests for the
No.
hormones, or is that something you can do for
Yeah, so I can do it for them. So I completely cut out the middleman unless they know they can go and get everything done through their doctor. Obviously, I'm totally fine with that. But I was finding 70 to 80% of my clients, I'd give them the list, they go to their doctor, and the doctor would intimidate them, make them feel bad for wanting the blood work, or just shut them down. And that is not healthy practice, and it doesn't make you feel good. And then you feel hesitant to ask someone else. So it just depends on your location. So if you're in United States versus Canada, Europe, etc., there's just different methods of testing, and it's either a requisition to the lab or testing is shipped right to your door and done at home. And obviously those proper instructions are provided as far as how to do the testing. And then we get the results back and we review them in one of your sessions. And again, like knowledge is power, and learning how to correlate those test results to your symptoms, the way you're feeling, the way you've been behaving, your cravings, your hunger, your weight. Like it is one of the most liberating, freeing experiences to be heard and validated. I'm sure you felt that when you went to the second doctor, right? Like you're not crazy. It's not because you're aging. Like it's such BS. And I think one of the most limiting beliefs we can take on from a doctor, physician, or anyone in Western medicine is, oh, yeah, like you peak at 25 and after that, like you're going to start gaining weight and everything's going to get harder. And it's like, no, that's BS. It doesn't have to get harder, but we need to understand what's going on in our bodies and why so that we can navigate it and prevent it from getting really hard. I've got women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, even a few in their 80s who are balancing their hormones, healing type 2 diabetes, getting rid of inflammation, all these things that they're going to their doctor and their doctor's like, "What did you do? That's impossible. You shouldn't have been able to do that." And it's like, well, no, they got out of their own way, did the internal healing multidimensionally, and the body is always trying to heal regardless of our age. It's just that we're either in the way or we haven't been equipped with the proper guidance, information, or tools. So how do we properly support the body if we don't know? It's so innocent. So being equipped is freeing and liberating. And then you learn how to listen to your body and give yourself what you need. And you start to feel better on all levels and you feel like yourself again. And then, if something goes off, you can feel those first signs when it does, if it does. And then oh, time to get tested again. Or like, what's been going on the last few weeks that maybe is making me feel like this? Like your natural state of being is to ask questions and reflect and have awareness. And that makes us more sovereign and in our power with our health. And I think humanity and women have to like take their power back and remember we're so powerful and we're not at the mercy of a doctor or anyone for that matter, but finding the aligned people to work with that are going to hear you and encourage you and not just plant limiting beliefs in your mind is incredibly important.
It's so important. And would you say that if someone has experienced a large amount of trauma in their life, that is having a profound effect too on trying to lose weight or trying to even lower the cortisol or all those things that you've just been talking about.
100%, because when we go through that trauma, whatever it's been, like to some people, this may not feel like a trauma, but when I was 5, my first day on the school bus, all the older boys called me fat and ugly, and then the whole bus made fun of me. That impacted and shaped my identity for the next 20 years of my life. That was a trauma. And the fight or flight experience that I went into and stayed in, right? It made me not feel safe. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting a little bigger and I'm getting a little bigger. And it was like my protective mechanism. So regardless of the trauma you've been through, if you don't ever deal with it or process it or work with the right people to release what you can, that all sits in your nervous system in your body, and that will keep your cortisol levels high. And if that circumstance is continuing to light up for you, or you're living life in a way, based on whatever happened, like in fear and worry or whatever those traumas are, you will constantly be flooding cortisol and adrenaline through your body, and your body will not feel safe. And you're going to want to hide behind protection because you're like, I don't want that to happen ever again, whatever it was. Right. And so we hide behind that wall, and it can feel really hard to release weight and keep it off and maintain it if we don't deal with those root stressors, traumas, triggers, whatever it is, because it's constantly keeping you in fight or flight. So it's incredible. And same with women who fear success, fear worth, fear being seen. Maybe they haven't had trauma, but they're terrified of having it all. And they are terrified of having attention, being seen, being abundant, successful, having love. And so they will like subconsciously be like, I'm going to hang on to this weight because I don't feel worthy to succeed. I'm afraid to succeed. I don't think I can have it all. So like, this is the last thing, but I don't want to like have to deal with the discomfort of feeling worthy and safe or successful. So I'm going to hang on to this one. And we don't mean to, but it's like, it's this subconscious like program and pattern. And then if that's also you, again, you're in a stress response if you're constantly in fear, worry, anger, frustration, criticism, self-judgment. So you're going to be constantly flooding cortisol and adrenaline through your body. And that makes it so much easier to hang on.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like one of the most important things that people need to learn and understand is not to blame yourself
No.
for any of the, habits you've picked up or the things that are going on, because I feel like, especially women, we're so hard on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first thing is people want to beat themselves up. And I think sometimes physicians don't help that because they'll say, well, you should just be eating right, or you should be doing
Yeah.
this, or you should be doing that. Like that's going to take care of it. But like you said, sometimes you can be doing all of the right things and it just isn't working because you haven't addressed what's really going on.
Exactly. And I think one of the unfortunate big fads right now is the Ozempic. Oh, you want to lose weight? Here. Yeah, we can just give you this prescription because they make a cut. It's a commission for them, right? They get paid. But the unfortunate thing about things like that is they are quick fixes. It's a blood sugar medication, not a weight loss medication. And the side effects of things like Ozempic are, some of them are life-threatening and very significant, but it's literally being handed out like candy to anyone who wants to lose weight. And there's huge consequences to just giving our power away to the physician, doing another quick fix, right? Some people are going blind and can't get their eyesight back. There's just a big lawsuit filed for over 1,500 people. Some people's digestive system is becoming paralyzed permanently, serious thyroid issues, high cortisol, suicide and depression, because it literally shuts off your ability to feel. You don't eat, or you eat very little, so your body is starving. Some people can't stop losing weight, bone loss, muscle mass, can't gain it back. Like, these are serious things. This is life altering if you experience these side effects. And so we've really got to understand that, like, yeah, it could be tempting. Oh, I can lose weight really fast. I want that. But we've got to normalize addressing the roots and normalize being patient with the journey, because I'm telling you, if you address the roots and the different reasons why you're hanging onto weight, why you're emotionally eating, why your cortisol is high, you will take those steps to resolve. You're going to build your worth and your confidence. You're going to learn how to listen to your body. You're going to have such a powerful connection with yourself, and you're going to get where you want to go, and you're going to be able to sustain that. Versus if we keep quick fixing, we're going to be all over the place. That's why my weight was up and down 20, 30, 40 pounds every few months, because I was doing the quick fixes and it was not sustainable. But as soon as I got into the deep healing and the roots, I released it and I've sustained it ever since. And I don't weigh myself or anything. Once a year when I go for my checkup, my doctor will weigh me and be like, wow, like good for you for losing 5 more pounds, or good for you for maintaining your weight. What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm helping my body feel safe. Like, right. But she's like, she looks at me weird and she's like, I don't really understand what you mean. But we need to normalize that being the way, because that's what's going to give you sustainability. And even after going through that experience where I gained the 80 pounds and all the hormone imbalances that I had that were contributing to that, even now, if I have a hormone issue or one or two things crop up a little bit, I don't gain weight because I know how to keep my body safe. I have tools and ways to support my nervous system, even if something goes off for whatever the reason. And then I bring it back into balance, and I don't panic anymore if I get a little puffy or my clothes fit a little bit different. It's like, ooh, my body's feeling like she's a little more puffy or protecting. Let me get curious. What's been going on? How's my sleep? What's my stressors been like? Maybe it's time to get more hormones tested again and see what's going on. And I literally will do that. And then it's like the validation of, oh, my progesterone dropped, or oh, my cortisol's up a bit, or oh, my thyroid needs a little tweak. And that's what I want my clients to get to that point, so that you feel empowered rather than like, I'm broken. I can't lose weight. It's in the genes. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't even like saying those things out loud, but it's like we affirm all these negative things and blame ourselves, like you said, but it's so unfair because you have not been properly educated or equipped by the Western medical system, by the diet and the weight loss industry, the food and the fitness industry, that weight is a protective mechanism and she's going to hang on if she doesn't feel safe. And a lot of it is rooted in unworthiness. Because they want you as a lifetime customer. So that's why they keep trying to use all this shiny marketing with the before and after photos and like do it in a month or 2 months. And it's like red flag, red flag, red flag, like stay away from it, right? But it's comfortable. So we continue to repeat the quick fixes because it's familiar and comfortable. Often we get to avoid or dance around doing the deeper work, getting uncomfortable, facing our stuff, right? Whatever it is that you're like, I know I need to do that, but I don't want to do it, right? But then you stay in that cycle. You may lose some weight, but then you gain it back. Or like, the cycle where you lose some weight and then you gain it back and then you gain more and you're like, I gained more. And that's because when we do diets, restriction, and quick fixes, we suppress our metabolism in as little as 4 days. That starts to negatively impact our thyroid, our cortisol, which is our stress hormone. And then there's this boomerang because your body's more stressed. It's easier to put the weight on and more because that restrictive protocol or quick fix, whatever you just did, just threw your hormones out of whack even more. And the problem is most women are not getting their hormones tested before they do a quick fix or go on a restrictive diet or fast or do keto or carnivore, which if you have high cortisol, all that is just going to mess it up even more. Right. So we're trying all these different things, frantically trying to, oh my God, what can I do to lose the weight? I'm so uncomfortable in my body. I don't want to feel this anymore. But you're not actually stopping to actually ask yourself and your body, does that even feel in alignment? And why am I choosing that again? Why am I not choosing the other path?
I feel like people just, they think it's going to be so hard to do that. But I feel like for me, it became easier when I just let go.
Yeah.
And when I did have to address the hormone issue. And when I started getting that fixed, I had more energy. And so when I had more energy, then I was able to just move a little bit. I used to be this person who would be in the gym and I would do like 2 workouts in a row and be there for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Now I do like a 15-minute workout every day. And it's just to move my body. And I feel like that has been more impactful for me than being 2 hours in the gym and doing this, kickboxing and Pilates and all the stuff that I was doing.
Yeah.
And my mind still tries to, figure out why is this more helpful than when I spent hours in the gym? And I know that it definitely has to do with the cortisol, right? And de-stressing, I think, is a big part
Yeah.
for me too.
100%. And I think, again, we don't go, oh, before I decide the kind of movement I'm going to do, the way I should eat that's best for me, we don't go, I'm going to get my hormones tested and assess everything and let that dictate what is right for me right now, because we haven't been educated in that way. It's like, oh, I saw this thing online. Look at the result they got. I'm going to go do that. this way of eating. Look at her body. Wow, I'm going to do that. We're not in touch with ourselves and our bodies. We don't know what we need. And if you don't know, that's okay. But I would encourage you to let your hormone results, your state of your digestive health, your blood sugar, your relationship with food, and your stress levels dictate what is the aligned kind of movement right now, or do you need more of a period of rest? What kind of nourishment? Because like if you have high cortisol, the worst thing you can do is keto, carnivore, fast. You need enough whole food carbohydrates with your breakfast and eating regularly through the day to help bring cortisol levels down. If you were like me, where I was waking up, going to the gym on an empty stomach in the morning, doing cardio, doing HIIT, I was like you, 2 hours. My first hour was cardio. My second hour was weight training. And it kept shooting my cortisol up higher. And the reason it all does that is because when you wake up, ideally we want to be eating something small within 30 minutes of waking up. And that may completely scramble your brain because you might be like, what? No. Oh, like I've been told to wait, or I'm not hungry. But eating within 30 minutes helps your stomach communicate to your pituitary and your different functions of the brain that oh, food, we can start to bring cortisol levels down. So it actually helps bring cortisol levels down in the morning. And cortisol is naturally highest in the morning. But normally I see it too high in the morning for women. So that eating right away really helps with that. A lot of women are doing caffeine, going to the gym on an empty stomach. It's going to skyrocket your cortisol. So yeah, I think it's so important that we get our cortisol tested. We do a full sex hormone panel. We get our thyroid panel, inflammation markers, vitamin D. Oh my gosh, so many women have low vitamin D. We need vitamin D to make our hormones. It also significantly impacts your mood if your vitamin D is low, your B12, your iron, cholesterol, blood sugar markers. There's so many things that are not being done, and they are very vital pieces of your puzzle. And if we're missing that information, then it just keeps fueling these imbalances and the weight and all these things. And then you get hard on yourself because you think there's something wrong with you, or you're not, having the willpower, which is such BS. And so, yeah, I just think, and then the hustle culture and the people pleasing, the overbooking, it just keeps the cortisol level so high. And when you have high cortisol, in case anyone is wondering what the symptoms of that are, you are tired and exhausted. It feels hard to get out of bed. You don't gain energy through the day. And often you'll have a crash in the afternoon or in the evening, troubles falling asleep or being awake for hours through the night, which is also low progesterone. Not fun. Brain fog, anxiety, panic attacks, trouble getting or staying pregnant, PMS symptoms, sensitive digestion, abdominal weight gain, troubles losing, having a hard time coping with stress. These are some of the signs of high cortisol or low cortisol. And every single woman I've worked with in the last 12 years, thousands of women have had high or low cortisol. And then that will literally throw the domino, what I call the trifecta of all the other hormones, off at some point if it's not addressed.
So when you say that, most women are deficient in vitamin D and other B12 probably, and maybe magnesium and other things
Yep.
going on, what do you suggest? Is it best for people to supplement those through vitamins that you take, or are there better ways to do that?
Yeah, so I think it depends on the level of the deficiency. So if it's a minor deficiency, we want to look at what's created the deficiency. So is your gut off? Are you not absorbing? Is your cortisol high? So you're burning through your minerals more quickly. You're burning through your B12 more quickly. What's going on? So in some cases, if someone's really deficient in vitamin D or B12, I'll suggest foods to them, but let's supplement for a while because I want you to have more energy. I want your mood to stabilize. And both are just going to help a lot more than if I just did foods. But if it's a minor deficiency, we can start with it. And if it's still not shifting, then we may do some minor supplementation for a while. Some women have several, 7, 8, 9, 10 imbalances going on at the same time, and that can feel overwhelming. So we can start working on the top 2 or 3 biggest ones. And again, do both. And someone were like, I want to do it all, put me on all the right stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but remember, it's not just about supplements or herbs or homeopathy. It is about balance with nutrition and healing your relationship with food. It is about getting into better sleep hygiene, getting some sunshine, fresh air. It is about building a self-care practice and learning healthy ways to cope with stress. It is about overcoming your people-pleasing, perfection, all or nothing behaviors, and learning how to love yourself and build your worth. It is about healing your traumas or healing your wounded inner child. Because those behavioral things I just mentioned are the things that have stressed your nervous system out in the first place. And you may gain some relief with food and supplementation, but likely not full relief until you also deal with those root issues that are stressing your system out.
Mhm. And once you stop taking those supplements, you're just gonna be right back in the same
Yes.
spot again. So,
Yeah. And ideally, we want you to be able to get to that point where you are able to sustain, and maybe you just need a couple things, right? That just you feel optimal taking them. Heck, maybe you can come off everything, but I find all my clients have like one or two things that are like, these are my jam. I'm going to just keep taking these. They just help me feel extra good. But yeah, the successful stories are the ones that do the deeper work. Cause yeah, it just becomes a band-aid. It can actually become another quick fix to just be asphyxiated with testing and supplementing and thinking, oh, I just have to find the miracle supplement. Cause you're avoiding, again, this deeper work. It's one part. It gives you a lot of information, but we have to do the inner work if we really want to see the results.
yeah, absolutely, because if you follow it all, that the body keeps the score.
Yeah.
You know that that's why the body's holding on to those kinds of things, and once you can get to the root of that, a lot of times you can reverse a lot of what's going on.
Yep. The body's always trying to heal. It truly is.
Well, this conversation has been amazing and so incredibly informative, but I know that you have a podcast. Your podcast is called the No Sugarcoating Podcast, but you also work with people and you have a free quiz that you're offering people that they can take. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's a free emotional eating quiz if you're wondering if you're struggling at all. It'll give you more insight and give you some podcasts and some resources to just help you start building awareness around that. And in the podcast itself, I spend a lot of time talking about in depth everything I've talked about with you today. So from hormones, weight, self worth, emotional eating, binge eating, people pleasing, all this stuff, and just connecting the dots for you so that you can build awareness. So those are just really, really helpful ways to get you on the path and help to give you some hope and light that like you're not alone and like you can heal. If I was to the point where I always say, if I was to the point where I was binge eating out of my dumpster and had like was postmenopausal in my early 20s and now I'm 38 and like have just like being of service and like healed and I'm so blessed for the life I have in the relationship and all the things, like you can do it too. It's not about luck, it is about just being willing to go to that place and work through the stuff. Be willing to do it.
So I decided just that I was going to just pull a card really quickly. I like to do
Oh, nice.
oracle tarot readings, and so I pulled a card from deck by Angela Rose. This is
Ooh.
hilarious. You have to love the universe. The card that came out was body love.
Ooh.
It says your body has supported every moment leading to now. It never leaves you. You are safe in your body. It is wise and all knowing. When you tune into her, guidance and inner knowing become clear.
Love it.
So you
It's so
can't get a
true.
more perfect card.
Yeah. Literally, the universe always works in the most amazing ways.
Yeah, I love that. So if people want to work with you, maybe they're deciding it's time, I've got to do something and nothing that I've done is working. And so I want to see if this is something that would work for me. What's the best way for them to either follow you, work with you, maybe follow your podcast?
Yeah. So listen to the podcast. And if you want to connect directly, I offer a 30-minute complimentary body freedom consultation on Zoom. So you fill out a quick intake and we hop on for 30 minutes and talk about your struggles, your goals, what's working, what isn't, why a different approach may be exactly what you need, hormone testing, everything. And then we can see if it feels like a fit. And then, yeah, in the interim, building awareness with the podcast is super powerful.
Awesome. I have the link in the show notes to your website. So if people
Thank you.
can go there. I want to thank you again so much. I feel like this is just such an important conversation. So many people are out there struggling and not knowing where to go next, feeling frustrated and want to give
Mhm.
up. And so hopefully we gave them a little bit of hope today and some guidance and some resources for them to get moving in the right direction. So thank you again, Amber, so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
I want to thank all of you for being here with us today as well. If you like this podcast, please subscribe. Please leave a positive review from wherever you're listening. And as always, the greatest compliment you can pay me is to share this podcast with anyone you think might benefit. I hope you guys have an amazing week. I am sending you so much love and light, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.